Hi, and welcome to Flyhealth with Nurse Noel. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to Fly Health. I'm your host, Nurse Noel, and I have everything for you that is pertaining to health and wellness. Well, I have some other stuff too, but thank you for joining me. This is week 5. I am halfway through the first season, and it has been such a great journey to go on. It's like a roller coaster, right? Ups and downs, ups and downs, ebbs and flows. But I'm so elated to have taken the leap to starting this podcast. Well, I started it before, but actually it's out. I have it on YouTube. People are watching. People are commenting. So that's what this is all about, right? So this episode, I have a few things that I wanted to talk about, but let's start with thanking everyone for tuning in. That is the first thing I would like to do because it's so, I know, consistency, consistency, consistency. But I would like to thank you, the listener, the viewer, the audience, for joining me on this podcast journey. Thank you so much. So, I want to do walk with me first, right? Let's take a long walk around the park after dark. So, my journey to breast reduction, I'm getting these tittle biddles off. I am reducing these tittle biddles. And it's been an emotional roller coaster because a lot of times I was happy, but as it gets closer to the date, I'm a little nervous and I'm a little scared. Can I be honest with you? I'm a little scared. And that's because I've had these since my pubescent years. So I've had my breasts, my large breasts. They were large when I was 13. So I've had them for a long time. And the struggles of finding bras, the struggles of finding clothing, the struggles of fitting clothing, getting dresses bigger than your size and then getting it taken in the bottom or getting it let out on the top. That is a whole process and I'm so used to doing that and I'm so used to wearing certain types of clothing. I'm wearing things that won't over sexualize me or things that are not going to show up my figure that much. it's it's gonna be difficult, kind of like a separation anxiety. But I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I am ready for it. Bring it on. But I did have a few times that I was, pondering and thinking like, wow, am I really doing this? Is this really going to happen? So let me tell you what's going to happen. Last time I talked to you, or last time I shared with you, it was the time that I was going to get a mammogram. So fast forward to I received a mammogram. I got the mammogram. I went to St. Mary's General in Passaic, New Jersey, which is a sister hospital to St. Michael's. And I went there and I got the mammogram. So imagine I got the results and they were inconclusive. What? Inconclusive? What the hell does that mean? My goodness. Did they find a lump? When you get that preliminary result of inconclusive, your mind just starts to wander. Back in 2007, I found a lump when I was doing a self breast examination. I found a lump and I had to get a needle aspiration biopsy and I also had to get a stereotactic biopsy. And it was the most difficult thing that I had to go through. Thank God my mom was there with me, but it was very difficult for me to go through. And I did it. It was benign, which is negative, no cancer. But I want to say those feelings came back when I got the mammogram and I got the mammogram results. They said I had to go to get an ultrasound. An ultrasound is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a sonogram. So they put gel on this machine and they pass it across your breast. It takes about, mine took about 30 minutes. And they do both breasts and they're able to visualize it a little better. So the mammogram is an x-ray, the sonogram is an ultrasound. Same thing that when you're having a baby and they're looking at the baby through the ultrasound, it's the same concept. He kept going over one area and he kept saying, I don't know what this is. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm terrified. I'm so scared. I'm praying on the table. And when the breast surgeon saw it, she said that it was benign and it was just a lymph node. And so now I went to the doctor, the surgeon, plastic surgeon, and I got, I presented all of this material, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting until my insurance finally approves me. I was I did not think that my insurance was going to approve me. Now you have to understand, I have the worst insurance. I have the insurance that I work at the hospital. Well, thank God for insurance, right? Thank God that they provide insurance for per diems. And per diems are nurses who work not on staff, but we work periodically throughout the schedule. So I only have to work 3 days a month in order to get that coverage. And that's the only reason why I'm working at the hospital, to be honest with you, is so I can get that coverage because I don't want to do it full time. So, I'm trying to do other things, but I'm thankful and I'm grateful. I have an attitude of gratitude. Let's talk about attitudes of gratitude for just 1 minute. Let me sidebar over there because I always had this feeling of I shouldn't have to, or I've paid my dues. And let me just let you know, God will pull on your coattails and humble the hell out of you when needed. And right now, I'm thankful for the hospital that I work at because I'm able to get insurance as a per diem, and that is not heard of. All my nurses tap in, tap in, tap in. That is not heard of. And I thank God for Prime and St. Michael's Medical Center. So they approved your girl. They approved your girl is getting her breast reduction through insurance. And I could not be more elated. I'm so happy. I started crying because I was thinking, like, trying to shuffle around credit cards, like, what credit card can I put this on, or what credit card is empty so that I can put this breast surgery on. And God made a way, and it's finally approved, and I have a date, and I will be walking you through it. It will be in the fall, but I'll be walking you through it. And I probably will have to put it through to next season so you can see everything, but I'm excited and I'm happy. I'm going from a 36J to a 34C. Baby! I was telling my friend today, and she's like, ooh. Maxie was like, girl, they not going to know what to do with you. I'm going to be outside. Tank tops, spaghetti straps. Baby, I cannot wait. So that's Walk With Me this week. I am so excited. I can't stop smiling. I'm already like trying to visualize it, but yeah, super excited about that. I love all the segments. I love every single one of the segments, but Hot Topics just got my heart a little bit. It just took a little piece of my heart. So, Hot Topics, here we go. New York City witnessed a tragic event. There was a gunman in New York City, open shooter, who killed 4 individuals, which was including an NYPD police officer. Apparently the person was mentally ill, but he took his own life also. And he wrote a letter to the NFL stating something about CTE, and we're going to have a show about that because I think that's necessary. I think that's a necessary topic that we need to talk about, CTE. However, this individual never played in the NFL, but I guess he was upset about something, and he took the lives of 4 people, and some people were injured, and then he took his own life. So, 2012, during the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, the United States decided that they were going to implement a new program called Stop the Bleed. Stop the Bleed came about through Homeland Security. And what Stop the Bleed is, what it's all about is just explaining to people and teaching people how to do life-saving techniques in the case of open shooting, of an open shooting. So, and it's some steps. They're simple. But if you come in contact, God forbid, anyone comes into contact with anyone who was injured, whether it be through a stabbing or through a shooting, then you would know what to do. So I'm just going to go through these steps, right? The first step is to identify where the bleeding is coming from. Because you have soaked clothing or soaked or blood on your skin, doesn't mean that that's the point of entry. So you're going to search. You're going to take off the clothes. You're going to remove clothing. You're going to look to see where this bleeding is coming from. Where is the point of entry? Where is the injury originated from? Okay. So when you identify that, you simply stop the bleed by pressing firmly as hard as you can with something. You take either a cloth, you take a bandana, you take something. No one's walking with a bunch of gauze. Nobody's walking with, gauze and abdominal pads and things like that. That's not likely, except me, right? So I do have a first aid kit that in my trunk that I walk around with because I'm a nurse, and that's what I do, right? So I do have Narcan in my car. I do have gauze. I do have a stethoscope. I do have saline. I have a whole a whole box of stuff in my car because you never know, right? But the average person doesn't. So let's say you have a shirt. Take off the shirt or a sweater, firmly put your body weight, put all your weight on this point of entry, this injury. Now, if you have a belt, if you have a long string, if you have a pair of pants, something that can wrap around that limb, you're going to tie it like a tourniquet, as tight as you can. Now, what you're doing is you're stopping the blood from coming out away from the body. Now, you're going to put the tourniquet above the injury. So if it's on your wrist, you're going to put it above, which is the forearm, anywhere towards the center mass of your body. So if it's at your knee, you're going to put it on your thigh. If it's on your ankle, you're going to put it on your knee, and so forth and so on. So that's pretty much the second step. The third step is reassess for further bleeding, because sometimes the bleeding does stop. But before you do all of this, make sure you notify the paramedics, 911. You either do it yourself or you tell someone to do it. This program by the Homeland Security is efficient when done properly. You can go to stopthebleed.org, www.stopthebleed.org for more information. Prayers to the family members and friends of those who lost their lives and those who were injured. This is Nurse Noel. What's missing? Ask Nurse Noel, right? What's missing? What's missing is my niece and my nephew, my producers, my production team, my script supervisor, my director, my first AD, everything. Madison and Chase, they are away in Trinidad. I miss them so. I miss them so. I miss them so much. They are a pivotal part of this production, and I am so thankful for those two little 13-year-old twins. I love them so much. But I'm doing it by myself this week. All right, so let's go to Ask Nurse Noel. And since I don't have Madison and Chase to read it, I'm going to read it for myself. Dear Nurse Noel, is it true that black men and women have the lowest vitamin D levels of any group? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about vitamin D, right? You can check your vitamin D levels through your blood, and normal vitamin D levels are anywhere from 40 to 80. So anything below 40 is low, anything above 80 is high. What are sources of vitamin D? Sunlight, and we know that because of so let me just answer the question. That is true. Because of the melanin in our skin, it takes a little longer for synthesis from the sun. So if you live in an area like Alaska where they have 6 months sun and 6 months darkness, then it's hard to get your daily dose of vitamin D. If you live in a place where the sun goes down early, like the Northeast, where it's a little less sunshine than anywhere else, or England, where there's a lot less sunshine than anywhere else, then you probably would need vitamin D supplements. So you can also find vitamin D in plant milk, like cashews, almonds. You can find it in fish, oily fish, like mackerel, salmon, sardines. You can also find it, for my vegetarians, in mushrooms. Those are ways to supplement your vitamin D. Okay, so yes, it is true that blacks, black women, and black men have a lower level of vitamin D. Now go out in the sun, get your daily dose of vitamin D. Get that serotonin level up, get those melatonin levels down, and your body will thank you for it. Thank you. Thank you for sending in that question. I really appreciate it. That was a good one. That was a good question. Uh, but let me tell you what vitamin D does. A lack of vitamin D can cause weak bones, muscle aches, tiredness, and a whole host of other things. A day in the life. I work in surgery centers sometimes, and a lot of people come out of surgery a little toasty, a little a little a little lit, biting, crazy, talking crazy, cursing, saying things that they shouldn't be saying. But one thing is common is that people come out with anesthesia breath. Now, what is anesthesia breath? I can't describe what it smells like, but it is not a pleasant smell. It's a distinct smell, though. All my OR people, come on, tap in, please. Explain that anesthesia breath, because I can't explain what the smell smells like, but I know it's a smell. I I can recognize the smell because there's only one smell, but I can't describe to you what it is. But just know it's not peaches and cream, okay? It's a little unpleasant. And that comes from, I was asking the anesthesiologist that I work with because I didn't know. I'm like, is this the medication that you give? This is kind of, And they said no. It's actually because of dry mouth. And dry mouth can cause a certain odor. And that is amazing because dry mouth can lead to stink mouth. Okay. Now, a lot of the medication that they give dries up their mouth, and they also sometimes give you medication so that your secretions can dry up because they don't want you to aspirate on your secretions. They don't want you to choke on it. They don't want it going down the wrong pipe, the trachea. So, a lot of these medications dry up your secretions. Okay, so I would rather that. I would rather have stink mouth than to have a possible aspiration. After we give them some apple juice and some crackers, it just goes right away. Yeah, it goes right away. This is the main event, the main event, the main event. And I have a really good topic for you: fire safety. As I look up at my fire alarm, I'm going to be talking about fire safety. We had a fireman come into one of the surgical centers that I work at, and he talked about fire safety. And I said, light bulb, this will make a really good topic. And so I'm going to talk about fire safety. Because you can't put water on all fires. If you have a grease fire, you're definitely not going to put water on it. What should everyone have in their home? One, you should have a carbon monoxide detector, and you should also have a fire alarm. But you should definitely have a mini fire extinguisher. They're about 16 inches tall, and you can find them in Home Depot, even Amazon carries them. Make sure you get an ABC fire extinguisher, and that will take care of a lot of the fires. If you have an electrical fire, you're not going to put water on it. Every fire does not warrant water. So you're not throwing water on certain things. But with the ABC fire extinguisher, it doesn't matter. You just pull that thing out and you just use it, and it's effective. Remember, when you're using a fire extinguisher, remember PASS, PASS. Pull, there's a little pin that you pull, it's silver. You pull it, you aim, that's A. Is squeeze. You're going to squeeze, and then you're going to sweep. Sweeping style. You're going to, in a fashion of sweeping. So pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. That's pass. Make sure that you have a fire extinguisher. I have one under my sink, and I've never had to use it, thank goodness, but I do have one. In case of an emergency, I do have one. So, what do you do during a fire? So what the fireman told me, it was interesting that you sleep with your doors closed. I can't sleep with the doors closed. I'm like, suppose the killer is like, I need to see people. I need to see things. It's just me here. Am I telling all my business? But it's just me. My cousin was with me, and she moved out, and it's just me. And I feel a little unsafe with the doors closed. I want to see people coming in. I want to hear things. I want to, but he said it is advised that you sleep with the doors closed. Why? Because when the doors are closed, there's no oxygen. Fires love oxygen. So when you open that door, you have open doors, the fire just goes to wherever the oxygen is. So that's the first thing. You're going to close the doors in case of a fire. And you're going to race, RACE. If you have no one to rescue, you're going to rescue yourself. You alarm or alert, which is calling 911 or yelling fire or telling your neighbors or anything like that. Number 3 is C, contain. You're going to contain the fire. So that's closing the doors, making sure that the fire is contained. And then you're going to E, extinguish or evacuate. Extinguish or evacuate. So, RACE is rescue, alarm, contain, or evacuate or extinguish. Right? So, most people, you don't want to fight a fire. That's the thing. You don't want to fight a fire. But if you have to, then you can with your ABC fire extinguisher that you have that you're going to get. If you don't have one, you're going to get one. If you don't have one, you're going to get one. Let me say it again. If you don't have one, you're going to get it because it's very imperative that you have one in the home. If there is a fire in your home or wherever you are, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get low because heat rises to the top, so you're going to get low. Crawl on the ground on your elbows and move around. If a door is closed, you're going to touch the door. Touch it from the top to the bottom. If it's hot, then that's, you know, if the fire is right there. There's a fire on the other side. If it's cool, you can open the door. But if it's hot, do not open the door. Do not open the door. That's very important. Do not use water. Do not use water. And I cannot stress that enough because water does not put out all fires, and sometimes it makes it worse. That's why I'm urging you to get an ABC fire extinguisher. If you experience any type of burns, like first degree burns, nothing like second degree or third degrees, anything that's just surface burns, okay? So that's first degree burns. You can rub it with aloe. That's why I always have an aloe plant in my home. I'm Caribbean. My parents are from Caribbean. My parents are from Trinidad. And one thing I always saw growing up was an aloe plant. My mother loved aloe. She would rub it on anything, scrapes, bruises, burns, bites, anything. And it cools it and it heals it. You can also use cool compresses, and you can also use any type of Neosporin, because with burns, what you're looking at and what you're very fearful of is bacteria entering the body and causing infection. So that's important. Now that's only for first degree burns. If it's second or third degree burns, please visit your local emergency room and get to know what emergency room and what hospital is good for burns. When I tell people, I said, know the hospitals in your area. Sometimes some areas only have one hospital. But if you have multiple hospitals in your area, then you better know one specializes in one. Okay, so let me give you an example. I live in Maplewood, New Jersey, and we have St. Barnabas, Cooperman Barnabas in Livingston, New Jersey, which is for burns. That they do other things, but they specialize in burns. They also specialize in kidney transplant, but they specialize in burns. Beth Israel in Newark, that's the cardiac hospital. If anything is wrong with my heart, take me there. UMDNJ, University Hospital in Newark, they specialize in trauma. Any type of trauma, motor vehicle accident, stabbing, shooting, anything, any trauma, take me to University Hospital. So you just get to know the different hospitals in your area, and that will make it a lot easier so that you can navigate if something happens. So if I get burned or something happens, or if there's a burn, I'm going to go to St. Barnabas. Also, know your number, the number for your local fireman, your local fire department. They do a lot of teaching. They teach you, they do a lot of in-servicing. Utilize them, especially for children, especially if you have children in the home, especially if you have children in the home. So if you have a burn, you're going to avoid direct sunlight to that burn. You're going to make sure that you have some type of medication, either Silvadene, aloe, something like that, to soothe it, and also they have healing properties to heal the burn. Things that you're not going to do. No smoking in bed. No smoking in bed. Please install carbon monoxide monitors and also install fire alarms. So carbon monoxide is odorless, it's tasteless. You really don't, it's a silent killer, all right? And it can kill. It can definitely kill. So make sure that you have both monitors in your home. No smoking in bed, and watch out for stove tops, space heaters, anything that's combustible, keep it away from it. Papers, things like that. Flammable materials, keep it away. Also, get an escape plan. What happens if there's a fire? Make sure you do not use the elevators. Use the stairs. Make sure you do not use the elevators. Use the stairs. Get an escape plan. Make sure that you have an escape plan for your home. So I have 3 things for the call to action. Test your alarms. There is nothing like alarms that are sitting up on the ceilings and they're not working. What's the sense? Test them. Make sure the batteries are functioning. Make sure that they are working. Number two, learn to stop the bleed. Go to www.stopthebleed.org and learn. Get yourself familiar with the tactics for stopping the bleed. And number 3, get a fire extinguisher in your home. It is so easy. They have them everywhere. I got mine from Amazon. I also saw them in Home Depot and Lowe's. Just get one. They're about $40. It'll save your life. For additional information for fire safety, please go to your nearest fire department or police department and they will provide all the information that you need. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Flyhealth. I really appreciate it. This was a fun one. This is a fun one. I got to tell you what's going on with my breast reduction. I got to talk to you about Stop the Bleed, vitamin D, and our main event, fire safety. This is Nurse Noel. See you next week. Peace.